Hello to the Department Chair of Teacher Education. The purpose of this report is to bring attention to the needs of our state's education system. In order to get more teachers to fill positions, we need to make sure that we are giving teacher candidates the mentorship they need. With this report, I hope to give some helpful ideas on what could be done to help better prepare teacher candidates. Teaching is one of the hardest professions, but we can also agree that it is one of the most important ones. Teachers must connect with students on multiple levels. They should be committed to their students' well-being inside and outside of the classroom. A teacher educates, inspires, and guides the future generations. I wonder if teachers are being entirely prepared for all parts of becoming and being a teacher. My focus question for this report was, are teacher candidates coming out of college well prepared to start teaching on their own? My methods for this report started by figuring out an audience. And I decided my target audience was students who are already in the College of Education. First, I started by conducting an online survey. I also had 2 in-depth interviews. These are the questions that were asked in the survey. What semester of student teaching are you in? Is it difficult working with parents? Is it difficult working with staff at your assigned school? Do you feel prepared to teach on your own? Do you have any knowledge on the licensure process? Do you think there are any ways to enhance your student teaching experience, and how? And for the interviews, I just asked for more explanation on those questions, and I also added a few other questions, which were, do you know anything about teacher evaluations, and what are those things that you know? Do you know about the 4 domains? And do you feel like the student teaching experience is for an appropriate amount of time? The first person I interviewed was doing her student teaching the traditional way. The second person I interviewed was in the co-teaching program. Limitations. There are many limitations when conducting an online survey. You never know how many people will respond. I had quite a few participants, but I was expecting to get a much larger sample. I tried to keep the survey short and simple in order to get as many participants as possible. However, I believe I would have needed more time in order to have as many participants as I would like. However, by having 2 interviews and about 22 participants in my survey, I can say we can at least get the gist of the issue. Results. In the data I collected through the surveys, I noticed the high number of students who did not feel prepared to teach on their own. When I asked participants if they feel prepared to teach on their own, 44% said yes, 55% said no. Some of the responses I got from my surveys were, not at all. I feel like I can do it, but I'm still not effective. Another one was, yes and no. I'm getting there, but I do not feel when I do start teaching it will be by myself. From this last response, I have gathered from the rest of the survey answers that he is placed at a new school in which he will be hired right after graduation. He explained that they have at least 2 licensed teachers in each class. He said that because of that, he hasn't had much time to help with planning or preparation. This is why this student does and does not feel prepared to start teaching on his own. Interview results. For the first person I interviewed, she's doing her student teaching the traditional way. Her response to the question as to if she feels prepared was, I don't feel prepared enough to teach on my own. Although I've had many opportunities to take over the class by myself, I still see a lot of improvement that needs to be made. I love being in the classroom and experiencing everything firsthand, but I really wish my classes prepared me more for what the real classroom would be. I asked about what she knows about the teacher evaluations, and she said she does not know much about it. She knows they happen twice a year and that it is really hard to get highly effective. She said she hears a lot of the teachers complaining about how hard it is to do well on those evaluations. I asked her what she knows about the 4 domains, and she said she knows that each one has different requirements for teachers. She also stated that it is very overwhelming to her. The second student I interviewed was doing his student teaching through the co-teaching program. His response to my question as to if he feels prepared to teach on his own was, "I feel more prepared every day, but I definitely feel like I'm ready." When I asked him about teacher evaluations, he knew about the different domains. He said that he has observations with his supervisor and he is evaluated with those domains that they use for teachers currently. I asked him if there are any ways to enhance his student teaching experience, and he said, "I feel like I'm getting the most out of this experience." I did some research on the co-teaching program and found out how it's done and its advantages. The co-teaching program has been found to be very successful compared to alternative student teaching experiences. According to an article I read, they stated, "Outcomes from this model included improved students' attitudes towards science and higher student-teacher achievement scores compared to their peers who had not participated in co-teaching." This is a picture of the different strategies that are used during this program. 1 lead, 1 support, alternative teaching, teaming, station teaching, and parallel teaching. From the data that was collected, I realized how different 2 situations could be. The responses I got from each interview were almost completely opposite. The student in the co-teaching program seems to be having an experience that has him completely immersed into teaching. The student doing her student teaching the traditional way sounds like she will be okay, but I don't believe she's getting everything she needs out of her student teaching experience. I feel like teacher candidates should be aware that they have options. If they aren't getting everything they need to better prepare themselves for their future, they should have some knowledge as to what they can do. After all the data I have gathered, I was able to realize that there are many teacher candidates who are getting what they need, but there are also a lot who are not. I have thought about some ways we can help the percentage of people who feel prepared go up. I think we could start at the first College of Education orientation by talking about certain scenarios that may occur. For example, if a student does not feel comfortable in their placement, or if they do not feel like they're getting what they need, they can tell teacher candidates who they can talk to for help getting a new placement. I believe teacher candidates should be given more options to get into programs like the co-teaching model. That concludes my report. Thank you for your time.